All right, everybody, welcome back right here to the Sacred Division, only on Faith Radio. And I tell you, this is a bit of phenomenal hour and a half, and we are so honored to have David Love as our guest for the evening. Now, before we jump into my question, I believe Bobby has a question for you.
Yeah, David, I have a question. We had a guest on about 2 months ago, and she had a lot of allegations out there regarding the Church of Scientology. So I'm going to ask you the following question.
Go ahead.
I want you to be careful how you answer it.
Absolutely. I'm always careful.
I'm sure you are. This woman about 2 months ago, like I said, had these allegations. Let me ask you, do you know on a personal level, firsthand knowledge, of anybody being murdered or being killed directly, outright by the Church of Scientology, by the officials within the Church of Scientology, much like an organized crime outfit would retaliate against another rival or somebody that would speak up against them? Do you know of anything like that taking place?
I have no personal knowledge about that, but I do know of attempts, like, for example, trying to run Jerry off the road down in California, and some very suspicious deaths. And that's all I can say about that, because I don't think they've ever even been charged with a murder. So I don't know.
Well, and of course, and Bobby, because we were, again, some previous guests had stated that, but let me, which was really intense information. So let me ask you this question, David. When we left off as a little tease, a little cliffhanger, the question is about, we know, and we briefly talked about the celebrities who are involved, of course, with Scientology. Honest to God, David, from your personal opinion, there is so much information on Google and everything about Scientology and what you're saying. Do you really believe that these celebrities are so closed up that they're not reading this material, or what do you think is going on there?
Yes, and I'll email you a link to that. Yes, yeah, absolutely. Well, any person that really knows the absolute truth about it would have to be. How can you know? Can you really know the truth and be that controlled and brainwashed not to act? I don't know. Perhaps maybe the Stockholm syndrome comes in, but they're certainly not held captive.
Yeah, because
so I don't know. I hear you though. I hear you.
Because they can actually take, they can just simply say, "Well, I'm out of here," and arrivederci, and.
But don't forget, they've got detailed information on it, because when you go through auditing, you're going to similar to a Catholic confession.
I see.
And they put you on a lie detector.
Whoa, okay, no, now that's different. So is it possible then that the reason is these celebrities, is it possible that the reason is they remain is because maybe Scientology has dirt on them?
Oh, they absolutely have dirt on them, big time dirt. They have dirt on, even in Narconon, you have to go through the same process, only they don't put you on a lie detector. It's called withholds and overts. You have to tell them all your past sins, your crimes, and any crimes and sins you know about of anybody else and anybody in Narconon or any other patients. And it's all written down in an auditing session. Okay, so they've got you. And then when you're finished each program, you are coerced into writing a success story about how good this part of the program was and how much better you feel. And you cannot move on in that program until you write that success story. I refused one time, and my program was stopped. You have to do this. So it's coercion. And the same thing in the Scientology church orgs, you have to write success stories. Because if you don't write a success story, obviously you didn't reach your end phenomena, awakening, and you have to do that part of the program over again, or else go into an interview with the ethics officer and be interrogated, and perhaps have to disconnect from some more family members. And if misbehavior happens, they'll send you to the RPF, which is a Scientology prison.
See, I'm stunned at this information that you're telling me. I'm just stunned because I don't even know how to respond. I mean, if I was looking into a religion and someone told me that they have to put me into a lie detector, I'd tell them go to hell. I mean, really.
Well,
I mean,
the lie detectors are common all the time. They do what's called sec checks, security checks, and the staff members are examined on lie detectors constantly. Constantly. It's a very paranoid organization. Very, very paranoid.
I guess what I'm.
It sounds like it's from outer space. I'm telling you, I laid on my bed when I was taking a supervisor's course, and there was an ethics officer laying beside me. He says, "Dave, can you believe this stuff?" And I said, "You know what? It feels like I'm in a bloody science fiction movie from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest." It's just beyond belief.
David,
it is.
Let me ask you. People that are drawn into Scientology and that remain there and basically, I guess, are brainwashed by the organization, for lack of a better word, does it take a certain type of individual for them to prey upon? I mean, or is anybody vulnerable to what they do?
Well, I think I don't know if I should say most, but I think most people are vulnerable in one aspect of their life or another, and that's what they look for, that vulnerable point to exploit.
Yeah, you know, and that's I don't know, and that's the whole purpose of that, of course, is for when they exploit them, and then they get this information, and then they kind of, I guess what you're saying is they drag them in there, and they can say, well, we can. Do they make promises we can fix it? So you kind of open up a lot of wounds, and you say, "Here's all my pain," and then they make promises that they can fix those pains.
Absolutely, there you go. And it's not cheap. It's a minimum $350,000 to go up through all these courses. Jeez. You know, one guy jumped out of the window, and he had his, I think it was the last $67 that he handed, and he landed on a car at the bottom when they were trying to get more money out of him.
David, let me ask you this question real quick. Like I said, I think people have to be vulnerable to a degree in order to be taken in by Scientology to begin with. But when it comes to some of these Hollywood actors, I mean, some of these A-list actors like Tom Cruise and like Travolta, they're on top of the world anyway. What thrill or what did they get out of being part of the church? What does the church give them that they cannot already possess?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. They begin a lot of times by getting actors to endorse them by saying, we have a rehab center. It's called Narconon, and we've cured thousands and thousands of patients, you know. And a lot of times actors will have had addiction experiences themselves, or family members that have addiction experiences. So they agree to endorse the Narconon program, right? Okay, so they go and they endorse, not knowing that it's Scientology, and then little by little they get, kissed into Scientology, the kiss of death.
Now, I have a question for you, because there was one picture that I saw, and maybe from your experience you can tell me what this might have been. But Tom Cruise is his wife. I saw one picture. I can't remember if it's on People or...
Which one? Which wife?
The last one, Katie, I think, Katie Holmes.
Okay, because the one before, she got the hell out.
Yeah, the new one that he has.
Yeah, okay, yep.
So I think it's, I'm not really sure, but she's married, of course, to Tom, and then I saw a picture of her hand, either it was Times or People or something, where her hand was almost bluish.
They said that was from the oozing of the toxins from the sauna. I heard something about that. I don't know much about it, but I don't know. I don't know what it was blue for. I really don't.
Have you seen any side effects? What are the side effects of, from what you've seen, what are the side effects of all these vitamins being dumped into the body? Have you seen any side effects?
Well, you spend a lot of time sitting on the toilet, that's for sure.
So $300 and something thousand for expensive.
There's a lot of effects, and it affects a lot of the organs. It's extremely harmful to the liver, extremely harmful. And when Hubbard wrote this stuff back in the 50s, he didn't have the science or health experience of what we have today. The effects that it would have on certain organs, and not being able to change the tech, it has to stay the same, and it's harming a lot of people.
There was a comment in the chat room about Nicole Kidman, who used to be married to Tom Cruise, and they got divorced and so forth.
That's what I was talking about, yeah.
Do you think, of course I don't think it came out, but do you think him being so involved in Scientology played a big role in that divorce?
In my opinion, absolutely. In my opinion, absolutely, yeah.
Wow.
That's only opinion.
Because I know Nicole Kidman, if I remember correctly, Nicole Kidman was Roman Catholic, and I think Cruise, at one time, he himself was Roman Catholic. And I think he wanted her, for the most part, to convert and become a Scientologist, if I'm...
Well, yeah, and some of Hubbard's writings, I think it was OT3, he stated emphatically that there was no Christ, and that the person called Christ was a homosexual and pedophile, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's very serious stuff. I mean, when OT3 came out, called The Wall of Fire, when it first hit the internet, there was a big lawsuit because that was, it was big time.
Now,
go ahead.
When L. Ron Hubbard first started out back in the 50s, and he came out with these books, he was basically a science fiction writer.
Absolutely.
Do you think when all this began, he had it in his mind that he was going to turn this into some kind of religion? Was this just an afterthought that came on down the road later on? I mean,
I think it was
basically come about?
I think it was an afterthought. He was doing a lot of drugs and drinking a lot. In fact, one of the letters he sent to his wife said, "I'm drinking a lot of rum and popping pinks and grays right now." So he did a lot of writing back then, and actually, when he died, they found psych drugs in him through a blood test. So no, I think it was an afterthought for the religion, because that's where the money was. He says, if you want to make millions, start a religion.
I read some of the basic thoughts of the Church of Scientology, and like I said, I'm sure that probably 98 or 90% of the people out on the street have no clue what the church actually stands for or believes in. But if you read some of the background and some of the beliefs, at least, that I have read online about the religion, I mean, it's really off the wall, pure science fiction. It's like, Godzilla and King Kong stuff, right?
Absolutely right over the top.
And how did all of, it just boggles the mind that you can take something that's kind of so far out there and turn it into a religion, and then basically have people have no idea what the religion is that they're taking part in.
Well,
like it's like an unknown religion, because if you really look into the background of it, I don't think anybody out there, unless they are truly involved, I don't think anybody out there really has a clue as to what this religion is, and yet they get drawn into it.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's the many laws are. You can start a religion. You have the right to believe in a religion, but you have to obey the laws. No one is above the law, and this is where the problem's coming right now, is because they're breaking so many laws.
Now, as far as from your experience, were there any celebrities that you ever meet in Scientology?
Yes.
You did.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I have a photo of him. He was not a big celebrity, but he was pretty famous. I'm not going to say his name for liability reasons, but he was a professional soccer player, and he was announcer for a sports television network.
And did he come to you and say, "Boy, this is just a bunch of bunk," or did he say, "This is the greatest thing since sliced bread"?
No, he was so paranoid about people finding out about his identity and getting publicized and jeopardizing his job that he left while in the sauna program. So he didn't do too much of the program, maybe a month or so.
Wow.
And we had somebody there from Google, and we had a lot of very wealthy families, extremely wealthy. I mean, very wealthy,
It's just amazing that when we think of, I guess, as a society, when we think of incredibly wealthy people and famous people, we just immediately assume that they're always going to make the right choices. And what you're saying, basically, in this case, that's not the situation, because there are a lot of people who are wealthy and famous who are making some really irrational decisions by joining this organization, according to you.
Yes, but you don't forget, they don't know about this. A galactic leader who dropped off, the Martians or whatever you want to call them, or their people or aliens into these volcanoes and blew them up with hydrogen bombs. They don't know that. They're not told that at all.